Hello and welcome, and we have some big news today. I'm Hayden Falzon from falzonfantasy.com, and let's dive straight into this. Blender 2.83 has released. Finally. Now this release is special because it marks the first long-term support release. So as you can see here on the downloads page, it says 2.83 LTS. That stands for long-term support. Now, some of you might be asking, well, what is long-term support? Long-term support literally just means that it will be supported for, I think, 2 years into the future. And that means bug fixes mostly. So this page here is just outlining what the long-term support program is. And this is something that Blender has talked about for a while now, and it is a fantastic move by them because it sort of puts pressure on some of the bigger players in the market, because now one of the main complaints about Blender was that every 5 to 6 months you'd get a new release, and sometimes those releases could be breaking. So if you're a studio and you're working on, let's say, 2.79, and all of a sudden 2.8 comes across, you're like, whoa, like, I want to use these tools, but then I have to do so much work to actually get all my assets into this new Blender, because a lot of things did change. So if you were using the internal render engine, for example, you'd have to basically restart the materials. So this long-term support is really, really fantastic. So the LTS version will not have any new features, API changes, or improvements. That's something to keep in account. But it will include fixes. Now, this isn't to say that Blender's going to stop updating. It's not. Blender's still going to have a continually updated build. However, the LTS will just mean that this build here will be continually supported up to 2 years, and then there'll be another LTS release. But this marks the first. So let's dive into exactly what's in this release, and hold on to your socks because it's a big one. So let's jump in. First off, we now have open VDB files that can be imported and rendered in the new volume objects. Now, virtual reality, I think they sort of marked this as something that was coming in a Blender talk, maybe a year ago now. So this is the first release now that is going to include a scene navigation VR. Next thing, really exciting for those of you who are using cycles, is the OptiX viewport denoiser. So it now includes that NVIDIA AI accelerated denoiser. So let's take a look at the difference here. So this is with the AI accelerated denoiser. So look how fast that just, denoises. It's pretty impressive. I know this is going to make using cycles, for even those of you who like Eevee, I think this is going to make using cycles a whole lot more accessible. That's just a stunning difference. Okay, this one's really exciting for me. Sculpt cloth. Physics simulation under your brush. So this is really cool. Sculpt realistic wrinkles with the new cloth brush. Its built-in physics solver automatically creates naturally looking folds. This is something that I'm definitely going to be playing around with at the end of this video, because I'm going to jump into the new Blender 2.83 build for the very first time. So we're getting a lot of sculpting updates, which is really nice. Mostly just improvements, to be honest. So this is the old clay brush here, and this is the new one, and how it's affecting it. Okay, sculpt face sets. This is really interesting as well. Okay, this is what has me really excited for this build of Blender, and this is the grease pencil update. So this is really cool. So we'll definitely take a look at this in just a bit. So the first things first is now vertex colors. You can now have multiple colors on the same stroke, which is super, super cool. It just means that your limitations for artistic expression are they're opened up a little bit more. So I can't wait to really play around with this. This looks fantastic. Now this is cool. This is the new mask system. So I'll play this video actually for you. So this new mask system is so cool. And I see it being such a boon to the 2D puppeteers that will be using Blender. Just take a look at that now. There's this, of course, they've optimized it. So they're saying here that frame rates are now about 2 times higher when working on files with large number of grease pencil strokes. So that's really good. And I just cannot wait to see where they go with this. So we have a bit of Eevee updates. So we've now got a few more render passes. We've got light cache update, and we've got some hair transparency. So hair geometry now supports blending with alpha hash and alpha clip mode, and the shadow blend modes are also now supported. So that's definitely a big thing for people who like using the hair in Eevee. So this one is a keeper. As I said at the beginning, Blender 2.83 is the very first long-term release. There it is there. So 2 years of support and ideal for long projects. All that it means is if you're in a company and you're going to be working on a project for 2 years, you know that this Blender build is going to be continually supported for 2 years. So it gives you ample time to get used to the tools and create your project within that time frame. And there's a few more things that they have got going. So this freestyle as a render pass, really nice. I really like that. That's something that I thought was lacking. What else do we have here? GLTF updates, that's good. New community themes. Take a check in, look at that. Okay. Compatibility notes. Okay, some just Python API stuff, so that is now depreciated. Okay, let's jump in. Very excited. Very excited. Okay, let's set this up. Shortcuts. Blender theme. I'll just load my 2.82 settings. And there we go. So we are in. The first thing that I really would like to look at is the grease pencil, because the grease pencil is awesome. I'm still not a fan really of when they got rid of the that empty that used to signify where the grease pencil was, because now if you just create a grease pencil layer and then you want to create something else, for example, you can't even see it. You have to come up here. I don't. There should be an option. Maybe there is. I'm just missing it, to be honest. Let's also just get that tool heading. Okay. Let's also change this from material to vertex color. Doesn't look like we're being able to get anything out of this just yet. I think, is there anything that we have to change? Preview, options, style, solid, texture, gradient. Okay, so it has to be in your material preview. Makes sense. Let's jump back over to draw. Okay, that's interesting. So that's the material, but I would like the vertex color paint mode. Mix factor 1. There we go. Easy thing to miss. Let's go to blue. And let's now change that to stroke. Let's now go to green. I like this. This is nice. Okay, I'm very excited for this grease pencil stuff, so I'm just experimenting with it. Let's take a look. Another thing that they were talking about was, remember when you used to do this, you'd essentially, it would create those real harsh corners. Let's just see if it still does. It doesn't look like it. It looks like they've managed to fix that for the most part. It does feel a lot nicer to draw with. I like the, you're not out of the flow. I think that's one of the main things. Like, one of the biggest problems with the old way of doing it is, like, you'd have to come over here, create a whole new material just for, like, eyelashes, for example. And you're just like, well, that was a bit of a waste of time. But now, you can just do it with one stroke. You just come over here, pick the color you want, and away you go. I think that's really nice. Okay, let's also take a look at these new masks. So I've got one layer here. Let me just create a quick and dirty sort of test for my mask. Let's just create a blue scribble. Let's also make a new layer, and I'm going to create a red scribble. Perfect. So now I can come here and hit a masks, check masks, and add GP layer. So now I'm guessing if I come up here to edit mode and just grab all of that. Oh, that is so nice. I can really see this being so useful. That's really, really nice. And it looks like they've fixed the issue of the old, there was always this white tearing on the edges. So this is looking set to be something that I'm definitely going to be using in the future. Let's just see over here. I think this, one thing that I'm a little bit, it's the size of the cursor just seems so, it doesn't seem like it's actually using, like I would like to see how big the actual cursor would be in the viewport. But I am not sure if that is a thing. Definitely let me know if it is, because I most certainly could have missed it. Let's look at some sculpting. Let's look at some sculpting. Let's create just a sphere. And let's subdivide it just a few times. In fact, let's create a cube. Okay. And let's go to sculpt mode, Dino Topo, and let's see what we got here. Nice. Feels very similar thus far. Let's go try out a few of the new ones. Oh, yeah, that is so cool. Oh, that is so nice. Oh, this is going to be so useful for my workflow. I just can't wait to experiment with this. Let me actually just subdivide this a little bit more. Let's risk it. Let's do 3 cuts. Okay, let's then jump back into sculpt mode. Okay, I am very excited. Okay, bits. Oh. Okay, that looks so good. It does get slower, that is for sure. Okay, let me turn on that dynamic topology again. Is it affected by dynamic topology? No, it is not. But look at that. That looks so good. Deformation. Oh, there's different deformation types as well. Expand, inflate. Let's do some inflating. I mean, I have definitely what's the word? Made it a little bit hard on my system. Let's look at this new voxel deform. Not deform. What is it called? Remesh. Mode voxel. Nice. Very nice. And we'll just apply that. Very, very nice. Okay, let's go back into sculpt mode and have fun. Okay, this is the... Oh, look at that. That is so nice. What if I just pull this? No? Okay, so what's causing that? Oh, okay. Maybe it's inflate, fall off, radial plane. View scene. Let's push. No, grab. Let's use grab. Oh yeah, that is so cool. Let's just reduce the strength a little bit. It reminds me of 3D coats cloth simulation almost in a way. Not exactly, but sort of similar. Oh, that is so nice. I can't wait to apply this in my workflow. I can see so many uses for it. Let me just turn off mirroring. Oops, I was pressing the ZBrush. Okay. And let's go back to... Oh yeah, that is nice. Ah. I'm sorry, I could just play with this all day. I gotta create a character with some really baggy pants now and use this. Yeah, I think I'll do that. So this is the draw face sets, I'm guessing. Okay, so it's almost like polygroups from ZBrush. And then I'll be able to select. So let's hide masks, face sets. Face set from selected. Okay, initiate init face sets by face sets. So how do we know how many face sets there are? Is it in a... Okay, so we've got a mask. Is there a face set option? Face sets. Randomize color. Okay, but what's the use of them? Show all face sets. Randomize colors. Okay, so maybe we can just sculpt all different face sets, maybe? Let me take a look at what they're talking about. So let's look at what they have to say about face sets. So we can create face sets. Okay, there seems to be some sort of shortcut where we can hide them like ZBrush. What is it? View mask. Is it hide? Oh, okay. So I'm hovering over the face that I want and I'm pressing H. Now, my shortcuts might be a little bit different than yours because I'm using 2.79 shortcuts. So preferences 2.7x, excuse me, 2.79. Okay, so I'm just hovering over the one I want and pressing H, but if I press Alt H, I'm assuming I'm gonna just, okay, that did work. Be Control H, Shift H. Okay, Shift H gets rid of it. Shift H. So H, oh, that's G. H hides everything but the one that you currently have selected, and then I just press H again, brings it back. Shift H hides the one that you are hovering over, and I'm sure that you can map that to another shortcut key. So that's a nice feature indeed, very reminiscent of ZBrush's polygroups. And I'm assuming these face sets, whoops daisies, these, where is it? This face set menu here, we can just create face sets with things like UV seams and edge creases or loose parts. So again, very, very, very similar to ZBrush in that regard. I do like the look of it though, looks really nice. We've been recording for quite a while, so I'm going to leave that there. If you like the look of the new 2.83 Blender, definitely download it from www.blender.org/download. And if ever you need any help with Blender, I have a few links in the description below. Definitely check them out, and I hope that you've enjoyed the tutorial, and happy blending. This is Hayden Falzon from falzonfantasy.com, signing off.